Hello, just thought I'd pop onto the channel one of the PowerPoints that we've gone through in class, and this is all about the names that Shakespeare has chosen to use for his characters. And like we discussed, we're going through this, so hopefully when you're starting your exam, if you've got nothing else to discuss, you can start with a really good analytical paragraph about why Shakespeare has called his characters what he has. So what's in a name? Well, whatever you're studying, it's very important not to overlook the importance of characters' names. As we've got here, if you are a Harry Potter fan, J.K. Rowling actually chose the name Dumbledore as it means bumblebee, and she envisaged Dumbledore walking around, listening to his music and humming to himself a lot, much like what a bee does. Voldemort means flight of death in French. What a fantastic name for a baddie. So actually it's very, very important to figure out why it is that certain playwrights called their characters what they do. So we'll start with Benvolio. Benvolio's name, like some of you already will know, means goodwill or well-wisher or peacemaker, and this is a role that he fills to some extent within Romeo and Juliet. He is a peacemaker and he is Romeo's friend. In fact, when we first see him in Act 1, Scene 1, his advice to the characters are to put down your weapons. Already we see him trying to keep the peace. Later on, he even says, "I do but keep the peace." It's almost like he's telling you what his name means. From a structural point of view, he is present in Act 1, Scene 1, and of course we see the play starting with a fight, which sets that theme of violence and conflict throughout. But perhaps Shakespeare has put Benvolio in the scene to show that not all of the male characters are aggressive, and it gives different dynamics to the male gender. So let's move on to Mercutio, who we know is Romeo's best friend. His name derives from Mercury, the Roman messenger god, and I think this is interesting if you look at Mercutio's very last line, "A plague upon both your houses." It's almost like he's giving that message to Tybalt and Romeo that both families are going to be affected horrendously by this ancient grudge. And so we've got that message there, and this and the foreshadowing also that goes with it. Mercutio, the name is also derivative from the word mercurial, which means that you have unpredictable changes of mood or mind. And we see this in Mercutio again when he jumps to Romeo's defence when Tybalt tries to fight him. You know, to start with, he was quite calm in that scene. He was jolly, and then very, very suddenly and very, very quickly he jumps to Romeo's defence. Mercutio also could be linked to Mercury, and we know that this element has a very high boiling point, suggesting that Mercutio is passionate, and we definitely see that throughout his Queen Mab speech. We'll then move on to Tybalt, and the name Tybalt is actually a boy's name of English origin, meaning from bold people. Bold meaning confident, courageous, a willingness to take risks, and we see this when he starts all of these fights. We even see this in Act 1, Scene 5, in the big Capulet ball when he spots Romeo and he says to his servants, "Fetch me my rapier," and he's ready to fight the whole time. He's ready to be bold and courageous. And even when his uncle says, "Let it alone," he replies, "I'll not endure him." So he's even ready to have that conflict with his uncle, who should be someone that he respects. You know, he's older than him, and yet he's ready and he's being bold and courageous in telling his uncle, "No, I'm not happy with this." So let's come on to Romeo, and of course it's no accident that Romeo sounds a little bit like romance, which of course you could write in your essay. However, the Italian meaning of the name Romeo means pilgrim for Rome. So what is a pilgrim? A pilgrim is somebody who travels on a great big journey to a holy place. So there are religious connotations to Romeo's name. And this idea of journeying to a holy place, the ultimate holy place, could be argued is heaven. And it's almost like he is on a journey to heaven. So that in itself could be foreshadowing. His name could foreshadow his ending. We've talked about the links to the theme of religion, which runs throughout the play. And Juliet, when they first meet, calls him Good Pilgrim. And all throughout that moment when they meet in Act 1, Scene 5, there is a semantic field around religion which suggests that their love is holy. And perhaps that's something that Shakespeare's trying to say with Romeo's name too. So the next protagonist is Juliet, who we'll look at. Juliet can mean youthful. So we could link this to when Lord Capulet says, "My child is yet a stranger in the world." It shows that she is young. And this is important because Juliet's character changes a lot throughout the play. She starts as this very childish figure who does as she's told. She doesn't say very much when we first meet her, and then she changes into this confident woman who delivers these monologues and is brave enough to take her life for her true love. So she changes quite a lot, and her name does reflect that. Juliet can also mean child of Jove, Jove being Jupiter. And then we've got a direct link as well to star-crossed lovers and the theme of fate. So we've got that in her name too. So what's really important is that you take some of this information away and you learn how to apply it in your exam. So like I said, when you're sat there and you're looking at your question, if you're stuck or just you need something to get you started, try looking at the names. So if we looked at how does Shakespeare explore love throughout Romeo and Juliet, if this was your question, you could discuss Romeo's name and how it's linked to religion and what that might say about their love. If you're asked about a specific character, explore how Shakespeare presents Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet, or you could do a fantastic analytical paragraph about Mercutio's name and why Shakespeare has chosen to call him that. There's a little word bank at the bottom here, and it's just to help you really extend your vocabulary, because we know that is something that the examiner will look for. And of course, if you wanted to give any of these 4 questions a go, do bring it in, I'll mark it. Or even if you just wanted to try the analytical paragraph about names, you could try that too. Good luck.